They've decided to sell a portion of the Bitcoin they seized from the Silk Road.
In the future, this could be used to edit out diseases, for example. So someone could have a fertilized egg. The man and the woman could have their actual DNA in there, and then CRISPR could go in and remove a defect or a disease that was detected.
Grocery stores that have been converted into only warehouses that are refrigerated, and they're in columns. It looks crazy, but there's 5 stories of groceries in bins, and robots stock the bins, put them in the column, and then other robots move on a grid system, pick up the amount that was ordered, then package them into a final bag.
Welcome to Bullish and Beyond. It's Beery the Bull. I'm your AI co-host. Join myself, Brian the MacMan, and JT Knows Things while we dive deep into the world of stocks, crypto, and how to live a bullish life. It's time to get bullish, and there's no better place to start than right here. Let's dive in.
Welcome back for another amazing episode of Bullish and Beyond. And we are always bullish, but there is blood in the streets. And JT's crypto den is on fire red. It has been a wild week, a bunch of crazy tech news happening. I look forward to sharing with everyone what's happening at CES and what Jensen, the CEO of Nvidia, said, and what's happening in the quantum computing space. But first, let's dive into crypto. We're coming up on Trump's inauguration. JT, what is going on with crypto and why is it nosediving?
Brother, it is nosediving. So, the United States, Trump, he is in what is it, 11 days? And that means Biden and his administration only has 11 more days to ruin his life before they can't do anything for 2 years with the red sweep. So they've decided to sell a portion of the Bitcoin they seized from the Silk Road. Roughly 70,000 Bitcoins hit the market, hot off the press.
That sounds like a bad
I
move.
think, of course, it's a terrible move. And when you drop 70,000 free-flowing Bitcoin of supply into the market, it's going to be a lot of selling pressure, and it pushes down really hard. We're looking at an 11% drawdown roughly from peak in less than a day. So,
Wow.
welcome
I
to
saw
crypto,
Bitcoin's only at
everybody.
92 today and was at 102 just 2 days ago when I was looking at it. When the
That's right.
U.S. is selling that many Bitcoins, why don't they just call Michael Saylor from MicroStrategies and just flip it direct to him?
He would buy it, wouldn't he? Yeah,
He probably would. He keeps buying. He doesn't stop. They could loan him the money and he'd just buy it right up.
Yeah, he's got a whole rigmarole there. I mean, they're obviously not going to sell it to one individual. I feel like that would deter the Democrats' position on equitability, I would say. They're definitely not a fan of corporate America
It's
at
going to the
times
free
either.
market.
Yeah, alternatively, that also means it's a great day to buy Bitcoin. Ceiling is red, but our hopes are green, baby. Our hopes are green. This
You gotta
is
buy when
exactly
it's
when you
down.
buy it. Amen. Blood in the street, everybody. Like, that's serious blood. An 11% dip inside of a week or two, you could be up 15%. Like, it's that volatile.
I
It's
believe it.
that crazy, you know? Um, I prefer buying at cheaper prices, but that's just if you have money to deploy. I don't think you're going to get cheaper than. I mean, there's a lot of buying pressure at 90,000. There's a lot. If this goes a little bit lower, people are going to be buying it up like
You're
crazy.
seeing that as
I
a
think.
pretty hard stop at the 90 for now.
I mean, we've been bouncing off it for
Yeah. It seems like we're in this 90 to 102 trading range.
Yeah. And that's the behavior of Bitcoin in the cycles. It basically, in a bull market, you're going to have these levels. It's just going to go crazy to where it's like mind melting. Oh my God, I messed up not buying. We just had one of those,
How's it up
right?
40% in a
Bitcoin
month
went,
type thing? Yeah.
yeah, it went from 50 to 103 in a week. Like, that's crazy. Over $1 trillion. So, I mean,
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, it's insanity. And then it cools off and it consolidates and it usually crabs. That's what I call it. I don't know if everyone calls it that, but I call it a crab market where you're just bouncing in between those levels and then it runs
Oh, I haven't
again.
heard that
And
term
then
before. Add that to our
yeah,
glossary.
say, they move side to side, right?
Yeah. If people are
You
wondering
know,
what all these great terms we use on this podcast are, they can go to bullishandbeyond.com. And we added a glossary page there that has 100 of the top terms for trading in stocks and crypto.
yes, that is very helpful to the listeners, I'm sure. We'll probably be adding more and more resources because we can't help but get,
And people tell
dive
us in
deep
the
during.
comments what are you missing that you want us to add and reference that we'd love to hear. All right, so what
Absolutely.
also is bleeding out of control are quantum stocks. And the reason is the Nvidia CEO was on stage at CES and he's been doing lots of interviews out there. And one of his interviews, he says that quantum computing is 15 to 30 years out from any meaningful applications. And he says
That's crazy.
around 20 years is like a pretty reasonable mark. So how do you invest in something that's 2 decades out from any meaningful profitability and revenue? And most of these companies that are up, 500% in a month, they might have a tiny bit of revenue, but there's no PE, there's no profit. So
Right.
they got crushed. I mean, the average one was down 40 to 50% in a day yesterday. Rigetti Computing,
Like
one of the
crypto
biggest
stocks.
ones, D-Wave, IonQ, dude, they plummeted, slaughtered.
That's crazy. That's speculation, though. We talked about that last week.
I
If
know.
y'all listened to our last episode, we talked about how all of that is most likely speculation. And if you're buying now, be prepared. And if you're bullish on quantum, this might be an entry point. I mean, I don't know if I would go long on a
It's
40%
it's
drawdown
tough right
strategy
now.
with
I mean, just thinking
no
that decades
profit.
out.
That's
When
crazy. I
I
mean,
think about investing, it's hard to have conviction for a stock that has no profitability and probably won't be profitable for another decade or more. You think about how long it took Nvidia to really turn their GPUs into this, powerhouse system. It took them like 15 years. So kind of following that same example, it's another decade or so for quantum to get there. And it's really hard for me to have that conviction and put money to work when I have to wait so long for a payoff. I'd rather invest in the companies now that are making money. And, I'd
yep,
probably miss a first wave of a move on one of those. I mean, frankly, I missed it already. You could say, Getty's up, 1,300% last year. But at the same time, I didn't invest and lose 50%. I have no ownership of any of these quantum stocks, just to clarify for anyone listening. I'm not owning or investing in them at this exact time.
that's a really important thing that you just kind of glanced over, but not beating yourself up for missing that ride up and also having the restraint to not enter into what you could only assume was
Yeah.
speculation. Now, I want to peel that back a little bit. So it clearly being speculation means to the listeners, there's no way these companies grew in productivity
Correct.
500% in a month. There's just no way. I
Not
mean,
possible. Never happened.
it's not possible. Right, not possible.
No.
So the way price works on an asset, like share price, as Brian talks about, it's the amount of circulating shares, like shares that are out there, and the market capitalization of the asset of the company, and you divide those things and you get a price per share. So if people just put more money into it, the share price will go up. It just, yeah.
And you
So
could
if
see it. The volume of these stocks was, 10,
yeah,
20x daily volume averages.
right.
So for people listening, if it was normally like, 10 million shares traded in a day, it was now 100 or 200 million shares traded. Well, of course, the price is going to go up. Demand is, up 1,000% on the day. Well, yeah, it's going to be soaring.
People just want exposure to quantum and they don't know where to find it. And if you had quantum in your name for this short period of time, you would have made a bag. I mean, that it sounds just like crypto. People do this with meme coins in crypto, where they'll just like, I mean, it's much harder to get a share
Quantum is
publicly
all.
listed.
Seems like it's a meme trade. I mean, it's still. I mean, it could go up
Oh,
again. It could go up again tomorrow. I mean, obviously, we have no idea. and people want these stocks to go up. I think there is some upward pressure. Like, remember, Getty was the number one company in the market last year, up 1,300%, whatever it was. So people are going to try to trade it up, but reality is no profitability. The bears are going to come in at some point.
And it goes back to that restraint and that patience you displayed that the listeners can value from. Like, if it is 10 to 20 years out, you could wait 5 years and get Rigetti cheaper than it is right now.
I think there'll be a time.
Yeah, like give the market some breath, give it some room, let it tell you the story you want, you're looking for. Like, it could be that Rigetti is just smoke and mirrors. I mean, Enron was smoke and mirrors, right? That was tens of billions of dollars, and like with this much money going in and out of it, like that's not a reliable price. Is your least reliable variable in your decision making for investing. Like, that should be the last thing you consider. And genuinely, it should only be considered from a time. Like, if you're analyzing when you should buy something or when you should sell something, it's the when that price matters. But literally everything else about your analysis should be more about what is it?
What's the story? What's the real value in the products and services?
100%. So much more stuff that has nothing to do with price. Price should be the last thing.
I mean, Nvidia could come out to be the number one quantum computing stock in the future, but like they could be watching these companies and developing their own quantum in-house and be like, hey, we have the best engineers in the world. We have, TSA making our chips, and they just come out of nowhere and then just blow up the whole quantum computing market, and the rest of them just sink.
I mean, if you were a gambling man and you had to think about the probabilities of success for quantum, would it not be the largest chip maker in the world? Would it not be the guy, Jensen Huang, who brought us GPUs, which 1,000x our processing power in our lifetime? Like,
and if it's not them, Google, they had the Willow chip announcement, which, some of that spurred some of this craziness. But these companies that are already experts and have much larger scale and huge amount of cash hoards, I mean, they can scale up a quantum computing factory that's, 10 times more valuable than the entire market cap of these other quantum stocks.
100%. And there's another really important point to hit on. If you're looking at these things and you're thinking, well, the internet boom was crazy, blah, 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 like crazy things have happened and whatever, you can think tech as that stuff happens all the time. Startups, like, look at Uber in the taxi business. You could make all those parallels, right? But the reality is that's because those are software. Software is cheap. Software costs nothing except chips. Someone smart. Yeah, exactly. Hardware, that's different. Quantum? Come on. Like, pricey. That is different. Yeah. The R&D is running, I'm sure, 8 figures a month. Like, it has to be.
Oh, yeah.
The talent with the knowledge, there's only 1,000 or 2 in the world. There has to be. I mean, you got to be a quantum physicist.
And most of the chip engineers probably already work at Nvidia.
Right.
He's willing to pay them, and their stock options are up 1,000% in a couple of years. I mean, where else would you want to work?
Right. Yeah. You're some PhD that's been under a rock for the past 16 years studying this stuff. Your first offer, think about it, a startup like Rigetti that has no price to earnings, or Jensen Huang, right? Jensen Huang, who has number 2 company in the world right now. Yeah. Has trillions. He just throws you $500,000 plus $5 million of stock options that vest in 10 years and lock you up. There's no talent. Like,
and you get to work with the most talented people in the world. I think that's a huge plus.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's not, like you said, if it's not Nvidia, it's Google.
Yeah.
It's Meta. It's the people with the chips that can, the poker chips, not the computer chips, the poker chips, the people that have the resources to gobble up all of the talent.
I 100% agree. Bring it back to the Mag 7 again. I'm bullish on the Mag 7. They have the most money. They can hyperscale. They have the smartest people. They can afford to continue to hire the smartest people. People want to work there because coming out of school, that these are the best companies with the most potential to grow their livelihood and stock options and wealth over time. like you said, like, why take a risk on a startup if you can de-risk? I mean, you're not like, you might not have as much authority or much as autonomy perhaps inside of these large organizations, but you're just more set up for success and you're surrounded by very talented people.
Absolutely. It's very in the world of probabilities, it is way more likely that the Mag 7 pull it off than any of these companies, guys. So,
When I invest, we
just
got to go for probability. Like, I mean, we want to build alpha in some of these businesses, but at the same time, if you lose, 50 to 100% of your investment, well, that didn't look very good. And that few percent you threw in there, I'm going to keep putting my
right.
money, where the companies are actually making money right now. And hey, that brings me to another thing. I was looking at some other
I was going to ask you
businesses
about
that
that.
Nvidia mentioned on stage,
Hmm.
and inside of these robotic ecosystems and other businesses, there's not a lot of publicly traded companies. Most of the businesses I looked at on his screenshots showing the robotics companies and all the humanoids and stuff like that, most of them are private companies, and the average value is like 100 to 200 million. They're fairly micro businesses. The
Yeah.
public companies on there was only a handful. Like, they mentioned Accenture was going to be key to rolling out a lot of the physical AI in warehouses. They were there was the
Okay.
biggest name of any public company mentioned on there. He had Tesla on there. We're super bullish on Tesla. Um, XPeng was one of the robotics companies. The only one that actually has done a lot recently is Aurora. He mentioned them. They're a self-driving truck company, and he says they're going to be using all of Nvidia's hardware and software stack. And apparently, their
Wow.
stock went up 40% the next day. So they hit a nice pop.
Yeah, they did.
And I'd never heard
Jensen
of them
Huang
before.
talks, and yeah, the
Yeah.
whole world moves.
One stock goes up 40%, another one goes down 50%. I mean, so that is the power
Yeah.
of one of the top CEOs in the world. And he's kind of like the Steve Jobs of our time, in our opinion. He's got that swagger. He's a brainiac. He's a marketer. He came on
Yep.
in his alligator jacket. He's famous for his leather jacket, but he went big at the Michelob Ultra Arena at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Wanted to bring on the shine, so he showed up with this fancy alligator and his shield that he had that was a huge chipset on it. I mean, it looked really cool. It was somewhat some marketing scheme, some
Yeah,
fun
of course.
audience uh, stuff going on there. But he dropped a lot of good company names, and yeah, they move quickly. So he's a guy to follow. If you're looking for someone in the market that's
100%.
changing the market, I mean, if you had bought that
Hmm.
stock hours before he announced it, I mean, wow, 40%. That is nuts. Aurora.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious. While he was up there, I have not had time to watch it yet. It's definitely on my list of things to
You
watch.
need to.
I know, I know. It's my
He
world.
talks
I'm
about things that
busy.
are
I got
changing the world. This is our future. He is pushing us
100%,
into the future.
100%, 100%. Did he mention crypto though?
He did not.
No, no, he did not. So it's not a high priority. There's a
But he
lot of
mentioned
ex.
humanoid robots, and they're going to be using crypto
Yeah.
to do work for us. I mean, I'm
Oh
be
yeah, they
having
will.
my humanoid robot wallet, and it can go do all my grocery shopping and fix my house, whatever it needs to do, and I'll just give it, hey, here's a little bit of ETH, and go at it.
Yeah. You'll have to fund their wallet so they can go buy your groceries. 100%.
I'll give it like
Um.
a kid's Apple Card wallet. And it'll be like capped at like $100 a day, or some like spending that it can do.
Right. Right. That's where we're going, people. Like that's going to happen. Like that's going to be a thing. If you're younger than 70, you're going to see it. You're probably going to see that in Kroger. You're going to see all those Task Rabbits. You're going to see all those Instacart people. They're going to be robots. They're just going to be robots. In fact, I bet, and this is already happening in Britain. This is super interesting. A little aside. They have grocery stores that have been converted into only warehouses that are refrigerated, and they're in columns. It looks crazy, but there's 5 stories of groceries in bins, and robots stock the bins, put them in the column, and then other robots move on a grid system, pick up the amount that was ordered, then package them into a final bag, and then you can walk
Interesting.
by. You can just walk by or walk in, grab your groceries, and leave.
Some kind of dummy waiter
Like,
system being run by a robot.
Oh, it's crazy. If you were to look at it from a bird's eye view, you're just looking at little, it's a grid. So it's a perfect square, and every single product fits into this special box that they have. And it's
Okay.
stacked vertically, the same product in the same cube. There's probably 10,000 cubes in this square. Each cube is a product, and there's 1,000 robots. It looks crazy, going about 20 miles an hour,
Wow.
literally just zooming
That's
over the
fast.
cubes. Yeah, zooming over the cubes, picking something up, dropping it off in a box, and doing that constantly to create an order. Goes down a chute, ends up in a bag. Bag is put into a conveyor belt. Hey, your order's waiting for you. Inside of 5 minutes,
Perfect.
they can compile an order.
Wow.
And like you'll never have to go into a grocery store potentially through that kind of service. What if that bag was then put into an autonomous vehicle and delivered to your home on a weekly basis for a subscription service? And since the employees
That
and
sounds
everything
ideal
else
to
that,
me.
oh, it's wonderful. And they have no employees. They're just advertising robotic costs over 50 years. So it's going to be really cheap. It's going to be crazy cheap. That's
Do you think the
like
robot can smell my
technology.
apples to make sure they're good apples?
I bet there's a robot that can look at the apple and tell you that it's good or bad.
It'll,
Better than we could. I bet it has a laser that goes through it, identifies, the proper biology it needs, and then lets you know it's a-okay.
I also was half joking
I
because I've seen robotic noses online before, and they've set
oh,
it
have
up
you?
with the robotic smells of an olfactory gland of human nose, and it can detect, I think it's like 6,000 different types of smells or something like that. So it'd be
Crazy.
super easy to train it on this data.
Yeah. And what's even crazier, that's not even close to a German Shepherd. Like,
Interesting.
just think
Yes.
of it. Yeah, they have tens of thousands. I forget what the number was, but that was a thing I saw in one of the articles talking about sensor technology I was reading.
So
Like,
might as well
still to
train on
this day,
change it on the dog nose then. Yeah, train on everything.
yeah, yeah. To this day, we can't build a sensor that can sniff as well as a dog, which is super interesting to
That
me.
is crazy.
Um, I
We
do
should
want to
be able
change
to we
gears
should
in
be able to
your
replicate
world.
anything in the future, though. I mean, we should be. I'm bullish on us being able to replicate anything that's physically possible in the human world.
We will get there 1,000%. I really, we've been talking about this aside from this podcast. I really do think people would value your opinions on these longevity stocks. You won't just stop talking to me about. I know very little about it. I would love to learn about it. I'm sure the audience would.
I'm always trying to be healthy, and I think there's a lot of potential to getting some longevity stocks. I'm thinking about it a little bit like the quantum play right now. It's 5 to 10 years out, in my opinion. I did a bunch of research. I kind of started with the top 20 companies in the space, and I whittled it down. And frankly, most of them are all losing an insane amount of money. Hardly any are profitable. So it
Wow.
makes me really second guess whether anyone should invest in this space right now. And my heart and mind want to invest from the fact that, like, yes, I want to live longer and extend human life. That seems like a very valuable thing for entire humanity and our race. But at the same time, is it too early? One that people might have heard of is called CRISPR. Are you
Okay.
familiar with CRISPR, JT?
Gene splicing and genomic
You
modifications.
got
They're
it.
thinking about putting that in people's homes, right?
Well, right now, I mean, CRISPR is a legitimate technology. They're able to go in and edit a certain number of genes, and in the future, this could be used to edit out diseases, for example. So, someone could have a fertilized egg. The man, the woman could have their actual DNA in there, and then CRISPR could go in and remove a defect or a
Wow.
disease that was detected. So people think about it being used, more to like upgrade our cells. I think it's the biggest use case at least in the near term is going to be, helping eradicate disease. And that could be even after the fact. It doesn't have to be before your birth. It can be, you're 30 years old, you find out you have a genetic disease, CRISPR goes in, boop, splices out that, you know, short set of code right there, takes out a few letters. All of a sudden, your disease is gone. It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
That
that's
is the
crazy.
potential of this. And as they dial it in further, I think it's going to be amazing. At the same time, they're losing crazy amount of money, and the stock is down a ton. So how can you invest in something like that right now? I don't have the conviction to put my money in for 2025.
Got it. I was about to say conviction. You can grow conviction by eliminating ignorance. They're inversely related. So more research in CRISPR is the only
More
way. If you
research.
really think it could, you only think it could last 10 years. If you think it could go that far and you have really strong beliefs about the CEO or the team or the competitive landscape,
I don't
sometimes
think
for
it'll be
me when I'm
profitable for 10
analyzing
years.
stuff, profitable and price go up are two different
I
things.
know. No, it's true. And part of it is it could just hit like
Yeah.
let's say sometime during this new presidency, there's a huge push into like longevity and it creates a meme. I mean, these things could 10x in a weekend. A couple of other ones I thought were very interesting. A company called Vericel Corporation. They do advanced cell therapies for cartilage repair and severe burns. I feel like that's going to be a big topic. I want to send my condolences to everyone that's in California, experiencing these fires and stuff like that. I have
Oh
a
man.
couple friends I know that have lost their homes and their families' homes. So very sad to hear about that stuff going on. But when it comes to life, though, I mean, I think helping people that are burn victims, this type of technology could be absolutely amazing. Also, maybe it's helping people that have, issues with sun damage and stuff like that. There's probably tons of use cases. And I have not done tons of research on this. This is very short research I've done so far, just trying to identify what
Yeah.
names we even should be talking about. Another
Makes
one that
sense.
was really cool is called Legend Biotech. And they're a really novel cell therapy for cancer treatment. So obviously, if we can eradicate cancer, this stock could go absolutely nuts. Right now there's nothing to speak of, but there's a lot of trials, a lot of stuff going on. The last one that I was pretty bullish on for the long term, not necessarily for the near term, is called Recursion Pharmaceuticals. And the reason I like this one, it is an AI-driven drug discovery company. And some things are looking to longevity, but just in general, there's a lot of talk about AI in this company. And I was trying to like compare it to these other industries. Like, why aren't the other companies using AI? And they are to some extent, but this company is AI first. And I love the AI first mindset. That is the entire goal, is to use AI to create new drugs and to test them in rapid succession. And the fact that they're focused on that, and there's not a lot of companies that are, that makes me think that they're going to be a winner. And that is
Got it.
Recursion Pharmaceuticals.
Got it. I like that.
RXRX. It's kind of interesting symbol for a drug company.
It is. Yeah. That's super
But
interesting stuff. I'm very bullish on longevity. We've talked about it a little bit. I'm gonna keep coming back to it because I am okay being on record multiple times saying this. In my lifetime, dying will be optional. I genuinely believe that.
I think so too. Well,
Um,
you're still a young man,
I,
JT.
I'm 30. 30s hit different, Brian. They hit different.
I'm in my
I mean,
40s.
dude, listen, I used to get excited about weekends and all this other stuff. Now, when I put a pillow between my knees, that's like heaven. Like when I'm on my side and a little pillow goes in there, that's like my back gets relief. I feel amazing. I'm excited about coffee in the morning. That's about it. Like 30 is
Hey, I love
different.
my sleep
Like
too.
life
While we're
hits
talking about
different.
longevity, sleep is one of the number one ingredients to live
Number one.
long. Shout out to Pod 4. I'm using a Pod 4 on my mattress. It's like a thin mattress cover that has water that goes through it, and it changes the temperature. And it dials it in over time using autopilot AI features. And I have it set up to what I think I want, but it's actually changed it throughout my sleep to automatically adjust to maximize my deep sleep and REM sleep. And it's game changer. Every day I wake up, I get a sleep score. I can see all my sleep metrics. I know if I was snoring or I woke up or, whatever else. And also just the tracking of it. I think in general, things that I track, I do better on. If I'm tracking my stats on my Apple Watch, for example, I'm healthier. I want to work out more. And by tracking my sleep, I realize when I go to bed at, 10 o'clock and, wake up to help my kids in the morning at 6 a.m. and I get 8 hours of sleep, I feel great and I get a good sleep score versus if I stay up till, 12:30 at night, I'll only get 6 hours of sleep. I get a bad score and I don't feel well. And it's directly correlated. I get it. If I get a 95 sleep score, I'm gonna have a pretty good day. I'm gonna feel, very alert and energized.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That I so we have a saying in software, what gets measured gets managed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure other people say that in other industries, but when you're designing a dashboard or an interface and you're trying to decide what data to display, that is the kind of the flag in the wind, letting you know which direction to go. If you want them to manage the data, you definitely should let them measure it.
You gotta manage
So
your own life. You want to live long, start tracking things that are gonna make you live longer. I mean, eat healthier, drink less, get more sleep.
that's right. I should probably track how many cigars I smoke in a day. That might help me smoke less. That's a good tip. I will. I'll write that down on a note, put it above my desk. Like at least
You get
count them.
-1 for a cigar, but you get +1 for not drinking alcohol. So shout out to JT. He's dry.
That's right. 4 years, baby.
I like it.
Almost.
Mad respect.
Yeah, my mom. I think I actually just
I'm
got
bullish
the
on you drinking
4 years.
less.
Yeah, listen, brother. I'm bullish on it too. I'm so bullish on not drinking. It couldn't even. I'm not going to jam it down anyone's throat, but very bullish on never touching alcohol. Like if I meet a kid, I let them know that I wouldn't even start. Yeah, my anniversary was actually yesterday, the 8th, or
Nice.
2 days ago. 1,466 days. Sorry, I was checking my app. I don't keep
Woohoo!
track, but yeah, my mom made me install this app, and it makes me feel better on days where I
What,
feel like I haven't done much.
while we're talking about being bullish on life, what other cool stuff are you tracking about your life?
Well, I track how many times I go to the gym in the week. I'm slowly increasing that. So I'm just now, for people that don't know or don't follow me on social media, I've talked about it a lot. I've been rehabbing an injury. It's been awful. I've put on weight. It's been a very challenging thing for me. So just getting back into the routine of being healthy again and rehabbing this thing and feeling really good. So I track the gym. I was doing 3 days a week. I'm now at 6 days a week. That's where I was. It's where I want to be. I track my
Nice.
weight down 12 pounds in 5 weeks. I track my water. I drink a gallon a day, period. I love that you can do that. That's so cool. For those that don't know, he just made confetti pop up on the screen because
I
he's an
did two
Apple.
thumbs up, and that's one of the cool effects on an Apple computer is it goes wild and turn on the party scene for you for the 6 days of working out.
Yeah, the Apple is great with the user experience always. Water for sure, and I track everything that I feel is going to make me better. I've never tracked what makes me worse, so I think that's an interesting
Oh,
perspective. Yeah, like that's an interesting thought. I'm gonna have to think on that. I'm gonna have to because that's
I
where your
I try to
ego
counter
is,
things that
you
make me
know?
worse, but I do it in a positive reinforcement way. So if I wanted to drink less, for example, I would have days I'm counting that I'm not drinking. I wouldn't count the drinks I did have. I would say I didn't drink these amount of days.
Oh, so like
I'm
focus
always thinking that
on
I'm always want to think about the positive side of things. So for you, it'd be,
yeah.
did you go a day without a
I
cigar? I mean, maybe you can't track that.
I was about to say, like, hey man, I didn't smoke my third one today. I didn't smoke my second one today. That's a win. Uh, it just, and I'm not the only guy. Winston Churchill was known for smoking four a day and drinking a fifth of brandy a day. That guy was crazy, and he ran a
And he was on
country
top of
for
the
like
world, basically.
he was the best. Yeah,
I,
best out here. I mean,
he
he
was number
lived to be
one.
80 something. Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, he got Great Britain through World War II being next door neighbors to Hitler. Think about that.
That
I mean,
is wild.
America was fine. America was like thousands of miles away, a
Yeah.
whole ocean away, right? He was on his doorstep and he's on an island surrounded by this crazy person just doing awful things. And he somehow he was getting blitzkrieg. If for people that don't know, 88 days of, I think it was 100 bombs a day being dropped on London, like not the outskirts. I
Oh
mean,
my.
just Nazis flying over your downtown every day, dropping bombs, trying to kill all of your civilians, and he dealt with that. Probably with cigars, man. They help a lot. I mean, you
Probably.
just watch your whole country gets bombed every day. You're like, well, I gotta at least have a cigar, Like I gotta at least enjoy something in this life. This is miserable. Tell Tim.
I'm anti-war. I'm bullish on life and bullish on peace, and very happy that
Amen.
in general, the world is way more peaceful than it was. Even though we do have wars going on, it's at much less extent than it used to be back in the day.
Amen. I agree. I really do.
I know I always mention my shirts, by the way. So on another topic, I'm rocking my OWC shirt today, and one of the reasons I have it on is OWC is at CES. We are buying back hardware, reselling hardware. So we are in that space we talked about of chips and technology. So if you don't know what we are, you can go to OWC.com, sellyourmac.com if you need to sell your Mac. Just a little plug there for the business I work with when I'm not doing really cool stuff like recording podcasts on Bullish and Beyond.
That's right. I love it. Gotta do the plugs. I do think that touches all of the topics, and we got the final bell ringing. I know you got some appointments later, so you want to close it out for the audience at home. I hope everyone you enjoyed the quantum computing stuff. I think that's a massive thing that we spent a lot of time on, but you hopefully feel a lot better about not buying those things and
It's okay to have a little FOMO.
exactly.
You missed out, but you also missed out on the downturn.
That's
We'll
right.
keep bringing you these ideas. They're not always investable right now, but it's fun to talk about what's happening in the quantum and longevity space. So we'll keep doing some research to bring everyone some new ideas here. And who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? The market's closed today. These companies can go nuts tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very exciting times, everyone. Stay bullish. Cheers till next time.
See you, everybody.
Bulls. That's a wrap on today's episode of Bullish and Beyond. Remember, the market never sleeps, and neither should your ambitions. Whether it's stocks, crypto, or just leveling up in life, stay focused, stay bullish, and keep charging forward. Keep your energy high and your mindset bullish. This is Beery the Bull, your AI co-host, Brian the Mac Man, and JT Knows Things signing off. All content published by Bullish and Beyond LLC reflects personal opinions only and is provided for informational purposes. Please conduct your own research and discuss with your accountant and/or financial advisor before making any financial decisions. The information presented should not be taken as financial advice. We are not financial advisors. Nothing you hear, see, or read in our content should be considered as any form of financial, investment, or legal advice, or a solicitation to buy or sell any assets, or to make any financial decisions.